Welcome back to Market on Close. I'm Caroline Woods, live from the New York Stock Exchange. It's time to focus on the state of AI. For that, let's welcome in Dave Nicholson, Chief Research Officer at the Futurum Group. Dave, thanks so much for joining the show.
Absolutely. Hey, Caroline, how are you?
I'm great. So, Dave, we know the state of the AI trade actually holding up pretty well today, and April has been a pretty good month for tech. Not so much in terms of year-to-date numbers here, but I'm curious. We know the AI trade has been under pressure. Has anything changed about the AI story, this AI revolution?
I don't think anything has changed in terms of the real story. The real revolution will continue for years. We're at the very, very beginning stages. It's just that the closer you get to any individual company that's involved or any individual technology, the more chaotic it will appear. So co-opetition is the name of the game in this battle as folks cooperate and compete with one another moving forward. And that's going to yield lots of chaos the closer you get to the situation.
Co-opetition, I like that. That's a new one for me. I just wrote it down, and spell check doesn't know that one either. But obviously we have 4 of the Mag 7 reporting this week. We'll continue to hear from tech names throughout the next month plus. What are you expecting to learn this earnings season, especially from some of these tech companies, as it relates to the AI narrative?
So I really am looking at some of the things. Great example is what Meta is doing around LlamaCon, their user conference, where they're seeking to take something that you could argue is a product or a feature of their platform and create more of an ecosystem around it. So I'm really digging in under the covers to see how Google and Apple and Amazon and Meta et al. Are seeking to create their own walled gardens, sometimes gardens without walls, but walled gardens nonetheless, to deliver the kind of user experiences that we will demand moving forward. Right now, the big hurdle to overcome is managing our private data in a way that allows us to have these virtual assistants that can behave like a virtual assistant.
So LlamaCon is Meta's basically first AI developer conference. I believe it's going on right now, actually.
Yeah.
So we'll be sure to look for headlines from that. In terms of what we could hear from Meta and some of its competitors or other Mag 7 members that haven't been performing so magnificently this year, what is the impact of tariffs? Obviously, for a company like Apple, it's much more clear, right? Because it's a product that could be coming from China, that could be have tariffs slapped on it. But for names like Meta or Microsoft or some of the others that don't have clear products coming from a place, what could the tariff impact be?
Tariffs, not a good thing from any perspective. And the issue right now is the uncertainty. So that uncertainty does not help the prospects for results. Even if you don't have a direct-to-consumer product like Apple does, your cost structure is massively affected, especially when you're consuming anything that's coming out of China, just to be blunt. So I think that everyone is hoping for a resolution, kind of sane agreements to be hammered out over the next 90 days. It's really impossible to predict what's going to happen. I'm hopeful that we'll get to a place where earnings won't be affected as much by the whims of tariffs, but instead we can look at business fundamentals moving forward. The kinds of things like, how much is a Google or a Microsoft, an Alphabet or a Microsoft, transitioning from Nvidia infrastructure to their own bespoke infrastructure. Those are really interesting conversations to have because, again, co-opetition, they affect a lot of players in this space.
True. We talked to your colleague yesterday, actually, about the U.S. lead over China in terms of technological advancements and then this threat of Huawei potentially for Nvidia specifically. How much of a threat do you think China is right now in terms of our lead for, in terms of the U.S.'s lead for AI?
Very much a threat. I would say that in some areas, they actually have advantages You could argue that the way their political system works in concert with business is an advantage that they will continue to exploit. I would say never, ever, ever underestimate them. Don't relegate China to a place that simply steals intellectual property. That is not the case anymore. I'm sure there's a fair amount of that, but they absolutely are leading in innovation in certain areas. So it's going to be a clash of two titans. We're in the midst of a Cold War associated with AI. Hopefully, the result of that is that we all get better because of that competition. No one can sit back and rest on their laurels.
In terms of other trends we should be monitoring in this space, what's on your radar?
I really think Apple is the one to watch to see. Some have said that they believe that Apple is falling behind. To steal a phrase from a great song from Hamilton, I think they're lying in wait, in fact. Going back to this idea of data sovereignty and how you package up people's data, it will be critical for these walled environments to be created for us to leverage, at least as consumers and also as businesses, the best of AI. So watch for the development of these platforms and the coalescence of these ecosystems around companies. Measure whether Meta at LlamaCon is really convincing people that their bet, as opposed to the sort of Gemini 2.5 bet from Alphabet and Google, which is going to take hold. Those are the things to watch for long term.
As we think about stock performance, I was joking, but it's true, the Mag 7 hasn't been performing magnificently unless you include Netflix in there. That's the real bright spot here. Do you think that as we go forward throughout this year that we'll continue to clump these magnificent stocks together, or we'll start to see some kind of outpace the others and others fall behind? Because right now they're all kind of falling behind.
Yeah, it's a bit silly. Yeah, it's a bit silly to have Tesla compared to some of the other companies as an example. I would argue that if you want to be more sane, let's have the 8 aces and add Broadcom to the list. So it's a bit arbitrary. I think that a lot of future plans for massive growth are baked into the valuations of all of these companies. I think that they're warranted over the long haul. But yeah, I suspect that the Mag 7, maybe a year from now, will have some other grouping of stocks.
All right, maybe the 8 aces. We'll have to see. And Coopetition, I'm going to start using that if I can.
Co-opetition, co-opetition.
Co-opetition. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Noted. Dave Nicholson, Chief Research Officer of the Futurum Group. Thank you so much.